All right, so I was saying that we're currently reading Carlitas Way. It's an intimate audience today. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that I didn't have sound at the beginning of that video, and I do apologize to that. I'm just talking, and y'all just seeing me going like this, going like that, and I ain't got no video, or no audio. But now I do, okay? We are simply waiting for Carlitas Way to go ahead and power up. We are on chapter 14. Let's get into it. After lying in bed for a few hours, I called Chuck and told him what I needed to do. I wanted him to help me. I said I have to find my son a college to attend. I told him I was going to look up all the schools in our area and that maybe we could go and meet the coaches together. Well, Chuck told me to take it easy since I couldn't come out of the house. Look up information to find all the schools in a 100-mile radius and get the names of all the coaches and addresses of the school. I did just that. I had one day left before I would be able to come out of the house. Now, in case you guys don't remember, what's up, QT? Uh-oh, hold on. I'm seeing some pausing happening. I don't like pausing. Child, we don't like the pause. We don't like to pause, We pausing, We don't like to pause. What's up, QT? We had a little bit of a pause. Let's go over what we were talking about the last time we got into this live, this read, y'all. And I know I'm frozen on the screen. I can see myself moving a little bit slow. But that's okay, because it'll catch up with itself. Y'all know how this program does. It's real tacky-yacky, okay? Anyways, Carlita ended up having like a cancer cell, which she had to get this radiation pill, and she couldn't believe that it would take such a toll. But she says, I called my boys to see how things were going with them. Jamal was great, but Jabril was still stressing. He let me know that no college was looking at him, and now prom was near. I decided to tell my son about what I had been through. He asked me, Mom, why didn't you tell us? It's not that big of a deal, I said. Then I asked Jabril, where do you want to go to college? I also asked if he was against coming to California. Have I clicked back in yet? Y'all? She want to know, is her son against coming to California? Just give it a second. It should be clicking back in no time. And I do apologize for the inconvenience. Hey, for the inconvenience. Anyways, it's not that big of a deal, I said. Then I asked Jabril, where do you want to go to college? I also asked if he was coming back to California, against coming back to California. Jabril was excited. He said, Mom, I would love to come there. I could be close to you. That made my heart smile. Chuck and I went to work. I told him to give me the dates when he could come up to visit me, and I needed him to stay about a week. Then I asked him to send me a picture of some of his games, as many newspaper clippings that he could find, and tapes of a good few games as well as bad ones. Once I received everything, I put together about 20 booklets and a tape of my son. I drafted a letter and sent all the booklets as well as the tapes out to the colleges. I was on leave from my job because of my illness. Although I was still very weak, I was excited about making things happen for my son. I increased my chanting from 2 hours to 3 hours a day. I hadn't told Jabril everything I had done. I didn't want to get his hopes up just yet. Within a week, my phone started ringing. There were coaches calling me about my son. I was surprised and excited. What in the heck was I supposed to do next? I called Chuck and we came up with a game plan. Things were moving in the right direction. Hey, Sharon's a quarter. Who else? I see somebody else coming up. USC's assistant coach called and wanted to have a sit down with me. I took the meeting and made it a point after that meeting to have Chuck with me from that point on. I didn't want what happened to happen again. Guys were coming on to me asking for sexual favors for a tryout for my son. And there wasn't even a damn spot on the team. What the hell? Who did they think I was? Forrest Gump's mother? That happened once, and I was not up for it ever happening again. So with all the other meetings, Chuck and I did the setting up over the phone. We set up appointments with 10 other schools, and I flew Jabril to California to see me and to visit all the schools we had on our list. Yes, good mommy. Hand claps all around for that good motherhood coming up out of this good book. Okay? Good book like the Bible. Come on, somebody. What she need? $1. There you go, Carlita, for the book, child. Y'all go cop this book on Amazon, by the way. We set up for workouts every meeting for my son. I told Craig what I had been busy doing in hopes that if I needed his help, he would be available, and hoping I had his support. What he told me was I was selling Jabril a false dream. I thought, damn it, Craig, just be supportive. But nope, his telling me that I didn't feel good. His telling me that didn't feel good to hear. So him telling her that she's selling Jabril a false dream was not good for her to hear. It didn't make her feel good. I'm pissed off. It pissed me off. So I told him, don't worry, I'm sending Jabril home signed and sealed, and told him not to worry his brain. I was pissed that I shared the news with him, to say the least, but I must say it made me more determined to get my son a scholarship. I was still recovering from my thyroid treatment. That's what it was. It wasn't a cancer treatment. It was a thyroid treatment where she had to give radiation. It had been 2 weeks and I didn't feel like myself. Who was that? Thank you, QT. $10 donation. Thank you, my darling. It was 2 weeks and I didn't feel like myself. I think the adrenaline was keeping me going. When my son came, I was over the moon excited. He came in on Sunday, 1 week after Mother's Day, 1 week before Mother's Day. He came in on a Sunday before Mother's Day, because if it was after, I was about to say, but I did read after, but it is before, by the way. It was so good having one of my babies home with me. Although we had a busy week ahead, it was so good seeing him. Chuck was ready bright and early on Monday morning. He drove us around and took the lead. USC was our first stop. Jabril was gassed. He played against a few of the guys and the assistant coach was surprised he was hanging. He wanted to tie up a lot of our time. He wanted to tie up a lot of our time. Being honest was our mission. We let him know Jabril was not there for picking games. If he wanted to give us a real look and if he was really interested, we could talk. But picking up was not an option. We were on a tight schedule, so we let him know we had appointments with other schools. After that, we got a bite to eat and took off to the next school. Jabril was hyped. He started saying he wanted to go to USC, but in my book, he was going where they said free. Plus, it was way too early in the game to be making decisions. We had the rest of that day, plus 4 more days to get through. Our next stop was Fullerton. The coach was very nice to us, although he didn't show too much interest in my son, which was okay. That was the end of that day. When we got home, I rested, and we started back in the same way. We started back the next morning in the same way. So here she is doing this repetitious schedule over and over again, trying to get her son Jabril into a college, which is very commendable, might I add. Okay. We went to Loyola Marymount University, the first on our list that Tuesday morning, and then Long Beach State. The coaches at both schools were very interested. Loyola didn't have any scholarships to give. Long Beach was very ready. The coaches there loved Jabril's game. When we pulled up to the pyramid in Long Beach, Jabril had fallen asleep in the ride. When the car stopped, he popped up and said, "Hey, Mom, I want to go there." He had a sparkle of excitement in his eyes. I told Jabril, let's get through the week and put everything on the table. Whoever says free and it's a good fit, that's where you're going. We laughed and went inside, and he got ready for a pickup game to show what he could do. He did a great job. After the game, the coach asked us to come back the next day. We let him know we couldn't come back until Friday. It was now Wednesday. We decided to take a rest. The reason was that the coach in San Diego had canceled. We still didn't have any offers, although there was some interest for show. We had Urban University the next morning. That was interesting. It was all good. The assistant coach and Chuck talked for some time, but when it came time for Jabril to play the game, he showed up and showed out. All the guys he was playing with called the head coach and wanted them to put him on their team that day. Well, that couldn't happen. We weren't sure if they had a scholarship for him. While we waited and Jabril exchanged numbers with the guys he had played with, Chuck was speaking with the head coach on the phone. He made plans for us to come back out the next evening so that we could meet the head coach and he could see Jabril play. He had been out of town for a wedding. When we got to the gym the next evening, I had to be a little careful. I had been going all week and it was starting to catch up with me. I was feeling very weak. I almost passed out that afternoon, but I wasn't stopping until I had him signed to a school. The Irvine coach wasn't impressed with Jabril's game. I'm not sure if he was trying to downplay everything so he didn't have to offer a full ride, but the offer that he made was that Jabril could be a walk-on and the next year he might give him a scholarship. I was so ready to go, I didn't have to hear any more. That coach wasn't talking my language. Later that evening, Jabril came back to Long Beach State and played a pickup game. I stayed home. I was pushing it in the first place. Between all the traveling from school to school and not eating right, my body was feeling it. That evening, I got a phone call from a coach at Long Beach State. He asked us to come back to Long Beach State the next morning, although Jabril was scheduled to leave and return home later that day. We went to Long Beach and the coach offered my son a scholarship. We said yes. I cried and thought, we did it. It took all of 6 days to make this happen and a lot of nam yo-ho rank yo. Chuck was very instrumental in the process. He stepped up and together we made it happen. Now see, his father should have been there doing that with him, and that's sad. I looked in my son's face and saw one happy young man. He was not only coming to Los Angeles, but he was going to be in the same college his dad had gone to. After all the paperwork was signed, I had Jabril call his dad right away. It was personal for me. I wanted Craig to know I had gotten it done because he said I was selling my son an unrealistic dream. It was such an accomplishment for me that it was done. It was a miracle. Craig seemed very happy for our son. I'm sure he popped his collar and felt good that his son was going to the same college that he attended. I remember reading something in one of my Buddhist books that said, once you decide what you want, all the Buddhist God will support you. All the Buddhist gods will support you. And that's what happened. After signing all of the paperwork, we had to rush Jabril to the airport. Of course, I was in tears the whole ride. As my son was getting out of the car at the airport, I was so happy, but I felt sick. I didn't want him to know. Later that night, I had to be taken to the hospital. They admitted me for exhaustion. I stayed a few days. When I was released, I didn't tell my son about this either. I didn't want them worrying. They had plenty on their plate. As time went on, I got better and better. Jabril decided to come out early and go to summer school. It was so exciting to have him near. After summer was over, he immediately started the new school. It went well. He became a starter right away and broke a few of his dad's records in no time flat. Jabril was on a mission. I didn't miss the game as well as the season was coming to a close. I decided to surprise Jabril. She said she didn't miss not one game. As the season was coming to a close, I decided to surprise Jabril and bring his brother and dad out to see him play. You see, I'm sure Jabril wanted his dad and brother to see a game. And the season was coming to an end. In speaking with Craig, he let me know he didn't have the monies to get here. So what I did was what I always did when I had an obstacle. I went to the altar and chanted Nam Yoho Renge Kyo for about 2 hours. When I was done, I checked some flights and found 2 at a great deal. After I booked the flights, I called Craig and told him I booked his and Jamal's flights, but he had to find a place to stay and not to tell Jabril that they were coming. All the while, I had been asking Jamal, my youngest son, what college he was going to be attending. All I could get out of him was he didn't know he didn't want to play basketball anymore. He felt it was a lot on him and he wasn't up for the demanding schedule. I let him know I was fine with that and all I wanted him to do was get a college degree and live happy and a full life. He had gone through plenty with the cancer over the years. I couldn't get him to say if he even wanted to go to college. As my son, he was going to do something. So I thought once I got him in my presence, we would talk college. When Jamal and his dad got to town, I surprised Jabril to tears. They knocked on the door as we were having dinner, and Jabril opened the door. He got all choked up. It was such a good feeling to see this. Jabril missed his brother and dad for that matter. They were able to see him play in a few games before the season came to an end before they left. While they were in town, Jamal told me he wanted to go to Long Beach State as well. I said to him, you have to let your dad handle that since you guys are down there every day in Long Beach. After a few days passed, Jamal gave me a call telling me that he and his dad met with some guy who his dad had gone to school with, and he couldn't get him in the school. He told Jamal that he could get him in next year when he became a sophomore as a transfer in. That was on a Monday. No, I told Jamal, no, that's not acceptable. And if you will, please ask your dad to set up an appointment on Wednesday for me to come meet this guy. Jamal questioned me. Mom, why? Why, man? Just do it. That night, I made the determination to get my son in Long Beach State. I chanted Nam Yoho Rengenkyo for 4 hours after the conversation, 5 hours the next morning, 2 hours that night, and 1 hour on Wednesday morning before I left for our meeting. It was a great day in California, and I felt great. As we met up at the campus, Craig and Jamal were all ready to go to the meeting with this guy. I took my seat, and the introduction was over. I got down to business. I wanted to know why my son had to wait a whole year before he could attend this school. The man, let's call him Fred for a lack of not remembering his name, gave me a few sorry excuses about why Jamal couldn't go to Long Beach State. He wasn't a resident. He wouldn't have a dorm room. The cost would be too much. Enrollment was closed. And that he, Fred, didn't have the power to give me the okay to enroll him there. Oh, I thought. So I said, look, Mr. Fred, I'm a Buddhist. And when I start practicing this, I was told I could have whatever my heart desires. And my heart desires for my son Jamal to attend school here with his brother. Mr. Fred smiled and said, I totally understand. I have friends that are Buddhist and they have a strong belief. But at this point, I can only get your son enrolled when he becomes a sophomore. But he could enroll at another college out here and transfer in. And believe me, I will be pulling strings to do that. Wow, I said, okay, look, I'm not being or trying to be funny or disrespectful by any means, but I'm going to be as forward as I can. Now, you said earlier you didn't have the power to enroll my son, right? Correct, he said. Now, at this point, Craig was a little hot with me for being such a big mouth, as he called it. I wasn't about to give Craig Hodges the time of day. I was on a mission. Okay, Mr. Fred, if you don't have any power to say yes to me, why are we talking? I need to hear you tell me yes, and all I'm hearing is no. So at this point, I can't accept your no, because you're in no position to tell me yes. Does that make sense? That make all the sense to me in the world. If you can't tell me no, if you can't tell me yes, how the fuck do you get to tell me no? I don't understand that. Anyway, because you're in no position to tell me yes. Does that make sense? And then I asked, is there a Mr. Long Beach that I could speak with? Mr. Fred laughed at me as if I had told a joke, almost to the point where he couldn't stop laughing. I didn't see anything funny. I didn't crack one smile. When he looked at me, he pulled himself together and said he would get the boss. He was very uncomfortable now. I said, stop before you make that call to your boss. Will you answer a question? Can your boss tell me yes? If not, let me just get someone who can tell me yes so we don't waste any more time. He was dialing the number on his phone. The director of admissions walked into the office with us. This was an older gentleman with such a kindness about him. Mr. Fred put the phone down, introduced us, and told him why we were in his office. The director of admissions was delighted and asked a few questions. He told us he didn't see a problem with my son going there and asked if I could pay the entire entry fee that day, which I did and had enrolled him that same day. Jamal was being enrolled into Long Beach State like I had planned during the drive to this meeting. Mission accomplished was all I said. I had done what I set out to do, but the key was I never doubted the power of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and all the chanting I had done. Now, with all we had just gone through, Mr. Fred said to us Jamal would have to live with me and commute from LA to Long Beach every day. That was puzzling to me. I asked why. He said there's no dorm rooms left. I said, Mr. Fred, my baby is going to stay on campus when he starts school here. Mr. Fred, do you really want to go there with me again? Laughing, he said, no, Mrs. Hodges. I'm happy to let you know my son had the largest dorm room available on campus. And after that, I was ready to eat. My son's smile lit up the room and warmed my heart. Truth be told, that is what it's all about. Making sure that the boys were happy. After we left that office, Craig was mad at me. He felt I was disrespectful to Mr. Craig. I said to Craig, get over yourself. That man was smiling and happy, and we were able to make it happen for our son. Look, I said, this is not about your feelings. This is about getting our son into college. So let's get Jabril and we can all go to eat lunch on me. Jamal was walking behind us, and I could hear him talking on the phone to his brother. I remember him saying to his brother, hey, Jabril, mommy just put the smack down. It's funny, his excitement brought tears to my eyes. It felt great to have his wish to go to school with his brother granted. I didn't feel like I had did it alone. We were all there together. I just did all the talking. Jabril met up with us and we all had lunch. The funny thing is that Craig wouldn't sit with us during lunch. Truth be told, I was so over it. I was too caught up in watching my boys interact. It was a complete joy. I left to go home and saw the boys that Friday and Saturday at Jabril's game. Jamal and his son were leaving on Sunday, so I was trying to get some time in with Jamal. When they left, things went back to normal. I was going to have the boys both in California with me. How cool was that? I chanted nothing but appreciation for the next 2 weeks. There was nothing I wanted to ask for. My boys were going to be a car ride away from me. I couldn't ask for anything more. My faith had become stronger and I was on cloud 9. The lesson I wanted my boys to get out of this experience was never to take no from someone who can't tell you yes. And that's what I took from it. I also learned to focus on what I wanted, not what I didn't want. I live by that today and always will. When I got both boys here to California, it was great. And school went well for them both. I had one problem. Craig called and said he was moving out here when Jamal came for school. I wasn't ready for Craig Hodges to live here in California. It was not big enough for the both of us. Once again, I cried. I wanted to know who up there hated me so much. I got guidance from a senior leader in Buddhism, and she did set my ass straight. She asked me, who did I think I was? And for me to have some compassion and chant for everyone's happiness. Huh? Was my first reaction. I wanted her to tell me, girl, you so right. But no, she made me step my game up and look at myself once again. School started and Jabril was making a name for himself in the basketball world at Long Beach State. He became a major player on the team. Jamal and I became his biggest fan in the stands. Yep, I was loud at every game and had plenty to say on a regular basis. At this time, I had started working in real estate and the market was good. Things went well until I got sick again with my thyroid issue. Although I was doing everything right, but after getting things checked out, I wasn't eating right and missing my meds. This was a serious issue that I was taking too lightly. I turned that around and I did away with the stress in my life as much as possible. Christmas was coming and I wanted it to be a great one. It was going to be our first Christmas in a long time. I went nuts. I got both the boys' laptops, printers, and a few odds and ends. When I wrapped up the gifts, I had to put my nieces and nephews' names on each gift because I didn't want the boys to know all the gifts were for them. Plus, Jabril can't take seeing a wrapped gift and not being able to open it. He has this thing when he was young. When he saw a gift under the tree, he would break out in hives if I wouldn't let him open it. So I didn't want to take that chance. The boys stayed with me overnight that Christmas Eve. By morning, all the name tags were changed back to their names. It was so cool seeing their faces that morning. I loved seeing my boys happy. As time went on, our lives became busier and full. The boys would go back to Chicago and visit with the family for summer and go back to school in August. Both of my young men graduated from Long Beach State. I was thrilled watching my oldest son walk the stage at graduation. It filled my heart with joy and my eyes with tears. But when it was time for my youngest son to graduate from college, the same college his brother had gone to, it was an aha moment for me. I bawled like a baby. I was so proud of my baby who was now a man. Here was the kid the doctor said wouldn't live to be 5 years old, walking the stage and about to embark on a life of his own. Yes, I was proud for so many reasons, and I had a right to be. I had watched both of my sons graduate and become men in life. Yes to that chapter. Yes to that chapter. Yes to that chapter. Hello, we're on chapter 15. Chapter 15, chapter 15, chapter 15, chapter 15, chapter 15. Anyway, now put your books up. Up in this book, just read up, reading this old little thing. I decided to flip. Okay, anyway. So let me read this first paragraph for the next chapter. It was early November 2006. I had been sick with an awful cold over 2 weeks, which I couldn't shake. I had a doctor's appointment on the morning of our big Buddhist women's meeting. That evening, I was to present gifts that we all had made collectively for over 100 plus women. I'm going to stop right there. Booyah, booyah. Okay. That was chapter 14, guys. I thought that was a good old chapter. That was a good old chapter. Let's get into some of these comments, folks. Let me see how much of this book we have left. We're 96% through. Yeah, so the last chapter, ooh, shit, that's quite a chapter. And then she has this, I'm sorry, forgive me, please, thank me at the very end of the book. We got one more chapter to read in this book, fellas and ladies. And of course, you guys know I'll be reading that tomorrow. This is a good book, was a good tell-all. Let's get to these comments. Let me see what you're talking about. Let me see what you're talking about. A mother's work. Yes, yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We got 9 folks. Wow, that's a low number, but that's okay. We did that. No, you didn't miss 12. I read 12. Okay, I love this book, too. I think it's very interesting. Thank you. Hi, D-Lovin'. Hi, Kimberly. Hey, QT. Once again, Sharonda and Kimberly. Did I say Kimberly already? And then, of course, you guys see the Lady T ASMR. That's my ASMR channel, guys. Go ahead and check in to that. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this motherfucking read that I did right quick up on this here YouTube channel. Y'all know I appreciate everything that you do for me. Y'all know I truly appreciate y'all joining in. I want you to join in next time. Y'all know how it is when you're spitting out that poetry and you really don't have a rhyme. All you can do is clap and hope that the folks understand that. Hope that the folks get back the next time you sit back and decide to read to them. Yes, spoken word like the days of Little Kim. Oh, when she used to rhyme on that beat that used to be so good to me. Y'all know what I want y'all to do because y'all know I stay live. I want y'all to what? Like, comment, and subscribe.